In the town of Blooperville, where bananas drove taxis and cucumbers taught ballet, lived our unlikely hero, Tung Tung Sakhur, the world's only philosophical sausage with a monocle. He wasn't just any sausage. He had dreams, big ones. He dreamt of becoming an opera singer, a tightrope walker, and maybe, just maybe, the next mayor of Blooperville. One sunny morning, Tung Tung gathered his curious crew. Bombardiro Crocodilo, a crocodile with an obsession for classical music and a strange allergy to pineapples. Tralalelo Tralala, a melodramatic jellybean with a love for Shakespeare and breakdancing. Professor Beep Boop, a robot toaster who believed he could speak to pigeons through Wi-Fi. And of course, Madame Latte Head, a ballerina with a coffee cup for a head who twirled every time someone sneezed. Their mission? To find the legendary spaghetti of eternal slurp, said to grant one ridiculous wish to whoever slurps it in a single go. Their journey began inside Madame Latte Head's oversized sugar jar, converted into a luxury vehicle powered by espresso shots. Tralalelo Tralala took the wheel despite having no hands. "Let destiny drive us," he shouted, spinning the wheel with his jellybean belly. Professor Beep Boop unfolded a glowing map made of dried lasagna sheets. According to my highly accurate calculations, the spaghetti lies beyond the plains of Parmesan, guarded by the macaroni monks of Mozzarella Mountain. Bombardiro Crocodilo, chewing dramatically on a celery stick, narrowed his eyes. "We'll need disguises. I say, we dress as ravioli." Tung Tung nodded with gravity. To defeat pasta, one must become pasta. Moments later, the crew stood disguised in floppy ravioli costumes stitched from dish towels and hope. They looked absolutely ridiculous. Suddenly, an army of suspicious-looking fettuccine scouts rode by on meatball unicycles. The group held their breath. "Stay calm," whispered Madame Latte Head, pirouetting in place. "They can smell fear and oregano." The group tiptoed through the dense basil forest, still wrapped in their absurd ravioli disguises. Every step squished. Suddenly, they reached it. The legendary Mozzarella Mountain. Steam rose from its peak like melted fondue, and the scent of cheese hung heavy in the air. "Is that a monastery built entirely out of breadsticks?" asked Bombardiro Crocodilo, squinting through the cheesy haze. "Indeed," replied Professor Beep Boop. "Legend says the macaroni monks never speak. They only hum in G major and communicate through pasta arrangements." The crew approached the Golden Gates, which were guarded by two towering lasagna warriors with Parmesan helmets. Madame Latte Head curtsied gracefully, swirling her foamy head. "We come seeking the sacred spaghetti scroll," she said sweetly. The guards did not move. Instead, they slowly raised forks, massive, glinting forks, and crossed them. Tung Tung stepped forward. "We are but humble noodles," he declared. "Let us pass, or taste the wrath of overcooked justice." There was a long silence, and then the gates creaked open. Inside, monks floated in midair, legs crossed, levitating over piles of gnocchi. The air vibrated with humming. Tralalelo Tralala whispered, "So, where's the scroll?" A lone monk turned slowly and pointed at a trap door beneath a bubbling cheese fountain. Bombardiro raised an eyebrow. "Why is sacred knowledge always hidden under something gooey?" Tung Sakhur leaned over the trap door under the cheese fountain, his ravioli suit now soggy but dignified. The bubbling cheddar whispered secrets only lactose-intolerant ears could hear. "Do we open it?" asked Tralalelo Tralala, holding her nose. "I've come too far to be turned into Alfredo soup now." muttered Bombardiro Crocodilo, and yanked the handle. With a dramatic gurgle, the trapdoor opened, revealing a staircase spiraling downward, made entirely of mozzarella sticks. Warm marinara dripped from the walls. As they descended, soft chanting echoed upward. Spaghetti, ravioli, manicotti. What kind of sacred ritual is this? Whispered Madame Latte Head, dodging a flying meatball. Professor Beep Boop, scanning with his cheese scope 3000, gasped. It's a cheese code. Each chant aligns with the flavor frequency of the scroll. At the bottom of the stairs, they entered a glowing chamber shaped like a giant colander. In the center, floating in midair, was the sacred spaghetti scroll, spinning slowly, surrounded by tiny, orbiting tortellini. Suddenly, a deep voice boomed. Only the one who can recite the pasta pledge may claim the scroll. Tung Tung stepped forward. I remember it, he said, trembling. My grandmother made me recite it before every dinner. He placed his ravioli-covered hand over his heart and chanted, By the sauce, by the spoon, by the napkin's silky tune, I promise truth, carbs, and tasty might, to never microwave pasta at night. The chamber glowed brighter. The scroll floated toward him. You did it, screamed Tralalelo. Yes, cheered Bombardiro. And now we finally know. Wait, where's Madame Latte Head? They turned. She was gone. And in her place stood a giant sentient fettuccine, glaring with cinnamon eyes. The room fell silent. The sentient fettuccine towered over them, steam rising from its buttery skin. Its cinnamon eyes narrowed. I am Madame Latte Head. It spoke in a deep, linguine-like voice. I was never human. I was cursed by the Dairy Council for revealing the secrets of the 5 cheeses. Tung Tung blinked. So, your head wasn't a latte mug for fun? She nodded solemnly, her noodles swaying. Number it was a warning, a symbol. And now that the spaghetti scroll has been awakened, I must reveal everything. With a wave of her pasta limb, the scroll opened midair, revealing ancient images. A cheese volcano erupting over a peaceful village. A young fettuccine girl standing before a tribunal of Parmesan judges. A prophecy written in marinara. One ravioli shall stir the cheese storm. Professor Beep Boop dropped his cheese scope. You're the oracle of Fettuccine Falls. Madame Latte Head nodded again. Yes. And you, Tung Tung, are the one ravioli. Tralalelo Tralala gasped. Does that mean he has to cook the cheese storm? No, said the Fettuccine oracle gravely. He must stop it. But how? Asked Bombardiro Crocodilo, chewing a mozzarella stick nervously. The scroll holds the key, said Madame Latte Head. But it must be read aloud by 3 voices. One brave, one ridiculous, and one fluent in Pastanese. They looked around. Brave, Tung Tung. Ridiculous, Tralalelo. Pastanese fluent, Professor Beep Boop. I studied it in night classes, he mumbled. They took positions, the scroll glowing brighter as each opened their mouth. And then, boom, the chamber shook. The tortellini began spinning faster. A crack opened in the floor, from which rose a pair of angry rigatoni arms. Oh no, whispered Madame Latte Head. The cheese storm has begun. And so, under a jelly bean sunset in the land of marmalade meadows, where candy canes grew like weeds and rivers ran with slightly overcooked gravy, the heroes gathered. Tung Tung Sakhur wiped a tear from his ketchup-glazed eye. Beside him stood Bombardiro Crocodilo, his scales still sparkling from the battle in the pasta forest. Tralalelo Tralala hugged everyone at once with her 12 arms. They had done it. They had defeated the evil Baron Bratwurst and his legion of bland sausages using nothing but friendship, a slingshot made from spaghetti, and the forbidden salsa of destiny. The crowd cheered. Even the grumpy Pickle King wept in his brine. Suddenly, the sky erupted in a firework display shaped like breakfast foods. Toast comets, bacon serpents, and a giant egg yolk sun that winked once, then sizzled out.